have both, I guess, the right answer, if you like, which is the best practice answer, and then I have the more, what I think is perhaps the more pragmatic answer. So I think the right answer, if you will, the best practice approach would be that you need to approach these things the same way that you would any other strategic business initiative. So by creating the case for change, enrolling leaders, winning hearts and minds, long-range planning, collecting data, using a tool like your tool to actually understand what are some of the stresses and how do we mitigate that. And then through consultation, implementing those strategies over time. So that, I think, is the right approach, if you like. But in my experience, very few leaders or people who are starting out in this space have the level of appetite or groundswell in their organisation to just launch in like that. And there's a whole bunch of micro interventions that need to happen beforehand, which is about building readiness. So when I was interviewing leaders in this space, I almost always found that people would start with something like a resilience seminar, mindfulness, mental health first aid. These are all things I've heard you talk about, and they aren't not right things to do. I think what's good about those activities and why most organisations probably do need to start there is it actually does start to build some appetite for workplace mental health. You can't really skip steps. So even if you know what the right thing to do is to kind of launch in at more of a gold standard level 4 maturity level, I don't think the organisation is necessarily ready for that. So you almost need to go through these steps through a maturity process, which actually helps you to create the scaffolding that you can then build on to do the kind of strategic long-term work that's probably required in this space. So if you are listening and you are doing those kind of activities, I wouldn't discount them. I just wouldn't stop there. You know, alongside doing that, it is important to be building that business case, finding that very senior, ideally executive leader or board member who's going to really champion these efforts. But you kind of need to go slow before you can go fast. And I think that's okay. So I don't think we should be necessarily judging people for doing a mindfulness program. I practice mindfulness, by the way, and I'm also a yoga instructor. That doesn't mean that I would recommend that's the only intervention, but it might be the way that you get that dialogue started in an organisation. And it's step one of what you know in your head is a 10-step, 20-step plan, but it might be, I think they're important stepping stones, but just don't stop there.